is Brigitte Belle, for those of you who are new here, and for those of you who are returning back, welcome back. I'm so happy that you're here. In this video, I'm going to be discussing how to make a living freelancing. Freelance writing is currently what I do to make a living, and I wanted to share some tips or just some thoughts as to what you can do to make a living freelancing. So if that's of interest to you, listen up. So first of all, the very first thing is that you want to be good at what you do. And before you just turn off this video and say, I'm not good at anything, how could you say that? How could you say that's a piece of advice that's not helpful at all? For those of you struggling with imposter syndrome, I just want to say you don't have to be the absolute best Mozart of your industry. You just have to be a little bit better than the people that you're trying to help. And in fact, the greater the distance between your skill, your knowledge, and your expertise and the people you're trying to help, the more you can charge, because that sets you apart as more of an expert. So don't feel like you have to be the absolute best in your niche. You just have to be better at what you're doing than the people you're trying to help. Now, if you want to make a living freelancing, hopefully the niche that you've picked is something that you feel you are good at. You wouldn't want to pick a niche or an area of expertise that you don't actually feel comfortable in. And this isn't to say you can't gain new skills or you can't gain new insight, but if you're not good at what you're doing and the people who hire you aren't good at what you're offering to do for them, then it's kind of just like the blind leading the blind. So you do want a certain level of expertise, because that is what it will allow you to charge premium prices and to really be able to make a living doing what you love and doing what you're good at and freelancing on Fiverr or another freelance site. But there's more than just being good at what you do in order to become a successful freelancer, which leads me to my next point, and that is that you have to be good at marketing what you do. So if you saw my last video on tips for freelancing with Fiverr, you'll know that I made the point of taking the time with setting up your profile. And this is exactly where marketing comes in. Setting up your profile is a part of marketing. If you don't do the bare minimum with doing a good job in setting up your profile, you're not going to effectively market yourself to the right audience, and therefore they're not going to purchase from you. So in addition to being good at what you do, or at least better than the people you're trying to help, you also need to be good at marketing whatever it is that you do. So really make sure to convey the fact that you are the expert to go to in your field, that you know what you're doing. State that clearly in your description. List any accolades, professional accolades, any experience, whether it be professional or personal, that you may have. Really try to think of all the ways that set you apart as an expert in your niche or in your field. And tell your audience that this is not a time to be meek or to avoid being ostentatious. You really want to showcase your skills, your knowledge, your expertise, and that you are the person that they should be going to, that they should be throwing their money at out of all the different people on the freelancing website that you're hosting your services on. So take time with setting up your profile. Don't be afraid to brag about yourself, to be a little bit ostentatious, because it's not bragging, it's just showcasing that you are the go-to person in your niche, that you know what you're doing, and that you have the experience, the knowledge, the skills, the expertise to back it up. So it's one thing to be good at what you do, it's another thing to market yourself and to effectively express through your marketing that you're good at what you do. So that's definitely not something that you want to skimp out on. Marketing yourself effectively is absolutely a necessary skill if you're going to make it in the freelance industry. My third tip for you when it comes to making a living by freelancing is to raise your prices. Now, this tip obviously isn't for everyone. If you're just starting out, unless you're incredibly confident in your skills and abilities, I wouldn't suggest maybe starting off with premium prices. If you are, however, very confident in your skills and your abilities and your ability to market those skills and abilities, then by all means, start off with the premium prices. Or you can do what I did, which is list a few gigs at the lower end range and then a few gigs at the higher end range. And this way it enabled Fiverr to kind of test the waters with my customer service skills. And the very first order that I got was only for $5. But then I got a $200 order, then a $300 order, then a $900 order, and so on and so forth. So My suggestion to you would be to have a range of price points if you're just starting out and if you don't have social proof yet. But if you are very confident in your abilities, then I would encourage you to start with charging premium prices if that's something that you feel comfortable with. Now, if you're someone who's been on Fiverr for a while and all of your services are around the $5 to $15 range, but you have lots of social proof, lots of 5 stars telling you that you're great at what you do, then by all means, now is the time to raise your prices, because you have the social proof as evidence that you're good at what you do. But in order to make the transition from part-time to full-time, you need to be charging premium prices. I mean, let's just do the math here. And I'm not a mathematician, I'm not good at math, I'm a writer, so math is not my strong suit, so I'm gonna take out my calculator. So let's just say that your bills are $3,000 a month, but you are only listing gigs at $5 a piece. You'd have to do 600 different gigs just in order to, you know, meet the needs for your bills. Whereas if you were charging $300 per gig, or that was your starting point for your basic, most bare minimum gig, you'd only have to do 10 gigs at your basic standard pricing. So that's a lot more doable, and that makes freelancing for a living a lot more accessible. So if you have that social proof, if you are confident that in your skills and expertise within your niche, definitely consider raising your prices. If you're wondering how much is too much, I'm not sure how much I should charge, again, doing your market research and seeing what your competitors or other people in your niche are charging is an incredibly helpful thing to do. I also want to address that there is a common misconception that if you raise your prices, nobody's going to want to buy from you. You may have a fear going into raising your prices thinking like, well, if I raise my prices, my clients aren't going to want to work with me anymore. And that's understandable, but also understand that for every price point, there is going to be a buyer. For every pot, there's going to be a lid. And so if you're worried about people not wanting to buy or purchase your gigs anymore because you've raised your prices, I just want to tell you to squash that belief right now, because believe it or not, people are actually more willing to pay a higher amount if they know they are paying for the best of the best. So if you are confident in your abilities, if you have that social proof, those consistent 5 stars to back up the fact that you are good at what you do, then don't be afraid of raising your prices, because people will actually perceive you as the expert that you are. And they've actually done interesting studies on this when it comes to marketing. I love studying marketing. I love studying why people buy, why people don't. But did this in grocery stores where they had 2 different cans of corn, exactly the same. One was priced at like $1.14 and one was priced at $1.89, and then another one like at $3.49 or something. People often bought the more expensive can of corn, and when asked why, they said, well, it was priced higher, so I'm assuming that it's better. So people in their minds automatically assume that if something is priced at a higher rate, that it's going to be better. So if you're good at what you do, setting your prices higher, not lower, is actually going to establish you as the expert that you are. So don't be afraid of raising your prices, because even if you lose some clients, there will be new ones who are willing and ready and eager to buy and purchase whatever services you have to offer. So those are my tips for you when it comes to making a living by freelancing. I hope you enjoyed them, and if you did, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. That's all for this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Until then, take care.